What's going on, guys? It's your boy DJ Skandalous here, and we're back with an all-new hip-hop vlog about the 10 worst Tupac songs of all time. Let's get it.
I'm built for it, nigga.
Alright, I kind of clickbaited you there because I mostly like every Tupac song, but there's a lot of crappy remixes that his estate and Interscope and UMG released after his passing. As you may know, the majority of the songs that came out after the Machiavelli album were composed of remixes. Now, there were some slight ones that were just enhanced originals, but the majority had new beats, had new features, and had new artists, and a lot of songs that Eminem did, the tempo was slowed down and everything like that. So we're going to do the top 10 worst Tupac songs, from my opinion. It may not be yours or anything like that, that I think that were butchered songs. Like, the original could be great classics, but they butchered the song. I'm also going to throw in a couple originals that I think that Tupac just rushed on and he just rapped over a crappy beat, but overall the vocals are good. Mostly every song, the vocals are great, the lyrics are great, but the production just lacks. So we're going to get into it right now. Alright guys, so the first song that I think is the worst one, this is number 10, is Something Wicked. Now, there is a clip online of T.I. breaking down the song, and he makes a funny joke about it. Let's check it out here.
Attacking the packs and kicking the facts for stacks to rap, and those that max relax and let the blacks get jacks. I'm getting taxed, my packs is packed with angry blacks. I give this a 1. I gave it a 1 because it's, you know, rat, cat, dog, fall, run, fun. I'm done.
Now, the reason I don't like this song much is because it's just a one verse song, and it has a verse, and then the whole outro is just a hook. There's no second verse, no third verse, and the beat is kind of lacking here. It's kind of funky. It fits the album, but there are better songs that Tupac made in 1990 and 1991 that would have suited this album better, such as Tears of a Clown, which was very positive and had a very underlying theme about police brutality and corruption within the American government that, for whatever reason, did not make the album. And then you have other songs like Revenge of the Lunatic, which was like a kind of like a follow-up to The Lunatic, but they also share verses. So I feel this song was out of place because there was other tracks he could have used here.
More than necessary, I'm very quick. I'm ready to hit him with this gift. On me grip the kick. So grab your coat and your hat, cause I'm prepared to clap. Something wicked, this way comes. Something wicked, this way comes. Something wicked, this way comes.
Number 9 is Don't Stop, which is originally called Don't Stop the Music. This is a song that was remixed by LT Hutton on the Pac's Life album. The original is great, and it features a nice 1970s classic Yarbrough and the Peoples sample, and it's produced by Johnny J, and it features Hussein Fatal in the second verse. And for whatever reason, LT Hutton gave it this crap beat and made Tupac say outlaw, outlaw, outlaw all the time, all over the track. And the problem with this track is that he put on Gaddafi verse from Play Your Cards Right from a totally different song onto this track. The vocals sound very distorted from Gaddafi and Tupac, and then you have Young Noble being on the track with his vocals are very clear, as same as Big Psych and Fatal, and it's very disjointed. And when you go from Tupac to Noble to Gaddafi and everyone else, and overall he just changed the whole vibe of the track because it was a very funky, laid-back track. And he tried to make it a hard track and just sound complete trash. And I don't know why they labeled this as Don't Stop, because Tupac already has a song on Thug Life called Shit Don't Stop. And he also has another song with Daz Dillinger and Corrupt called Don't Stop Keep Going. So it just made it very confusing. And then when you go down the Pac's Life album, you see Don't Stop, you see Don't Sleep, and then you see Sleep. It like, come on, you have all these tracks in the vault. You could have made a better track list than this.
Like you really ain't living, result on the 211s. Cooking in the kitchen like we looking and we wishing. Praying will he hear it? It's eating out my spirit. Speaking from experience. You can't break me, never make me bust a softer beats. This outlaw style got a brother off the streets. Mr. Lord Tucker, sue me, I won't stop. So we get justice for these crooked cops on my block. It's too loud, it's too rowdy, it's too violent.
Number 8 is another remix, and it's on the Still I Rise album, and it's called Tattoo Tears. The reason I don't like this version of the song is because Young Noble's all over the beat. Obviously, it's a remix beat, but Young Noble's all over Tupac's hook, talking over him. The Outlaws have new verses, which wasn't even needed because the original verses were good. They muted some of Tupac's ad-libs. And also, the original was performed live at the House of Blues. Let's check it out here. I think there's a 97 version here that they were making for an unreleased album. And what they essentially they did is they took the original song and they added more elements. And they added in the Coolio Gangster Paradise sample, which sounds way better than this trash version that they put on the Still I Rise album. And for whatever reason, they put this on a Still I Rise album. And it's very disjointed on this album because you go from really soft songs and depressing songs, and then you get this like dark hard track, which doesn't even make sense on this album.
Military mind make me hustle all the time, grind for cash making. Forget my adversaries, they don't understand what we go through to become a man. We shedding tattoos. I said it many times, but still can't see. Y'all niggas can't fuck with me. I've been handling stress and this shit for years. My military mind make me hustle all the time, grind for cash making. Forget my adversaries, they don't understand what we go through to become a man. We shedding tattoos. Said it many times, but still can't see. Y'all niggas can't fuck with me. I've been handling stress and this shit for years. Blazed out, shedding tattoos.
Now, number 7 is going to be probably a new song for many of you guys out there because it just leaked last year. And this is another 1990-91 Tupac Now scrap called Fade Away. Now, I think this song will be great if they release it on a new album with someone like J. Cole on there and new production. I don't like the original beat because it's just very like jumpy. It does not fit Tupac Now very well, and I can obviously see why he removed this from the album. Now, the layout of the song features 2 Tupac verses, and then Money B is on the outro singing for about a minute or two. So I feel like the song was very left incomplete, and the beat does not really go well with the rest of the album. So I can definitely see why Tupac left this off the album of Tupac Lives Now. Now, if I was doing it, I think they should put J. Cole on there. They should maybe put a singer, maybe John Legend, or maybe just have J. Cole do the hook too. And I think it would be a very relevant track because he talks about hip hop is here to stay. He talks about that people are selling out over tender love and club beats. And it's basically reminiscent of what he said on Rebel to the Underground, where Tupac was like, you don't have to sell your soul to go gold. And he says, even if he goes gold, his story is still getting told, which I think is an amazing line because they haven't released an album in so long. And I guess they're worried about record sales, like if Tupac doesn't go gold or anything. But Tupac really didn't care about that. He just wanted his message out there. So I think this will be a very great track to release today. And I would use it as a single if I was releasing a 1988 to 1991 era album.
Okay, now let's take a look. What do we got now? Took a second look. The crooks gon' pop now. All these mean mugging brothers from the street have turned into tender loving rubbing club beats. I just don't understand with the warrior styles that I'm paid to say. Hip hop's here to stay. They fade away. Who writes but build for a charge? Change the material from inside your heart. Just fade away.
Number 6 of the worst Tupac songs of all time is yet again another remix that his estate released. And this is called Words to My Firstborn. For whatever reason, the original is a classic Maze Ain't It Strange sample. And I don't know why they did not release this sample. It's a classic song. It features Nutso, has a longer outro. And also there's another version called Things Are Changing, which has a chorus and it's completely redone vocals by Tupac. Tupac recorded Things Are Changing first. It was a solo version with a different intro, outro, and the chorus. And then he recorded it again with Nutso, and he added a different intro, a different outro, and it has no chorus on there, just him saying Words to My Firstborn. And also Things Are Changing also features a couple more lines on the song. Now, I'm not sure why they did not release this in original form because it's an all-time classic and it would have been on par with anything on Machiavelli, anything on All Eyes on Me if he would have recorded that song in that era. It would have been probably the best track on those albums. But overall, they gave it a crappy beat and they didn't even give it a good hook or anything, and they put Above the Law on there, which I love Above the Law, but they were not really needed on this track. I think overall they probably have sample clearance problems, and that's probably why they did not release this, or they did not want to pay that much money to clear that sample. Now, if I was releasing these tracks, I would probably have issued both of them, or I would have made a version where I would have taken the Tupac's extra vocals on Things Are Changing and used that as the hook for Words My Firstborn. Or I would probably have just offered both versions, and one of them would have been on the soundtrack or at the end, very end of the album as a bonus, since, as you know, Until the End of Time and Better Days, they released a couple bonus remixes, but all of them were trash anyway.
Put my head on the pillow, say a prayer, one love to the thugs in heaven, I see you there. It's written for the young and dumb that wasn't warned, help you make it through the storm. Head on the pillow, say a prayer, one love to the thugs in heaven, I see you there. It's written for the young and dumb that wasn't warned, help you make it through the storm. My words to my firstborn, feel me. My words to my firstborn. And right before I put my head on the pillow, say a prayer, one love to the thugs in heaven. See you there. It's written for the young and dumb that wasn't warned, help me make it through the storm. My words to my firstborn, feel me. While trying to maintain through the pressure, hustle trying to make life better for you and me. Nobody loves you when you stuck in the game, but maintain, cause all things change. Feel me.
Number 5 is yet again another remix, and it's from Are You Still Down? And it's by Edie. So I don't know why Edie was remixing tracks back in 97 or whatever reason. He was not remixing tracks and producing tracks for Tupac in 96 and 95. So I think he was just hopping on the bandwagon trying to make more money. And that's essentially why there's a lot of tracks on Still I Rise that was remixed, because Edie and the Outlaws wanted to get paid basically double for producing the songs and added new verses to songs they were probably already paid for in 95 and 96. Now, the original sample of Enemies with Me is called Making It Believe That It's You. Now, that's by Love Unlimited Orchestra, and that's a classic 1970s song, and I guess they went through sample clearance problems again, but the weird thing is, Big Pun actually used the same sample on his Braveheart. I think it's it's probably Braveheart song that he did, and I think that was released on his album after the Yeah Baby album. I'm not too positive about that, but he actually used that same beat. And if Big Pun can get it clear, why can't the Tupac estate? It just seems like they were just being cheap yet again. This could have been a great track on Are You Still Down?
Bitches don't wanna see me leave. Forever thuggin', tell them to bury me a G on everything I love. And fuck the law, cause the raw niggas ain't free. Bitches don't wanna see me leave. Forever thuggin', tell them to bury me a G on everything I love. And fuck the law, cause the raw niggas ain't free. This bitch is clear, but we can't see. This game is jealousy, don't let them change.
Number 4 is, I'm probably going to get a lot of flack for, but it's the Ghetto Gospel song from Loyal to the Game, produced by Eminem. Now, as you may know, I'm going to break down the Loyal to the Game album eventually, and mostly every track here suffers from sound quality problems because Eminem was stretching the vocals, making it very slower to fit beats, and he would also fasten the pace of the song to fit the beats that were already pre-made. See, the difference between Johnny J, like someone like Johnny J and Eminem, is Johnny J, he would have the vocals laid out in the original sample or the original production, and he would go in and change the original elements of the beat, or he would make a beat structured around the vocals. Eminem most likely had already pre-made beats at a certain pace, so he just took the vocals, said, okay, this sounds good it might sound good here, but I gotta make Tupac fit, kind of like a remixer does sometimes, and he would slow it down or fasten it up, and that's where you get the sound quality problems where it's not crystal clear like it is if Tupac would have rapped on that beat himself. The big major problem that Ghetto Gospel has is the vocals are so stretched that there's overlapping problems, whereas it has echoes, and the tone was pitched down kind of when he was stretching. It was probably inadvertently, but the the vocals were pitched down to make him sound like a 17-year-old kid, which Tupac did not even sound like that on the original version. Now, if you go online, you may find a original version that features 4 verses. Now, this is not the version that Eminem used. That's a big myth in the whole Tupac mythology, you know. They think that Eminem, took the song and did not use the extra 2 verses, but that's not the case. Tupac recorded a 4-verse demo, and then he re-recorded that track again with only 2 verses, and the other verses going to a rapper called Jesse the Kid, and this was for the MTV Christmas album that was coming out in 1992. So Eminem essentially got the second take of the song and not the original take. And this is why you hear some ad-libs at the end of the song where Tupac's saying, "Lord, can you hear me speak?" Because those were ad-libs that he was doing for Jesse the Kid's verse, which was originally written and recorded by Tupac. Now, overall, I think they should release the original because the original has 4 verses, but they said that the master reel was damaged or it was recorded over, so they don't think they can ever remix it, but we have a good enough quality version to release as a bonus on a soundtrack or an album. The only problem is you just can't remix it and make it a new version. I wish they would have the master so they can make a part 2 Ghetto Gospel with the remaining verses.
If I could recollect before my hood days, I sit and reminisce, thinking of bliss of the good days.
If I could recollect before my hood days, I sit and reminisce, thinking of bliss of the good days. I stop to stare at the younger, my heart goes to them. They tested with stress that they under. We never really went through that, cause we was born BC. You and me before crack, and nowadays things change. Everyone's ashamed of the youth, cause the truth look strange. And for me, it's reverse.
Number 3 is yet again another remix, and that is Thuggin' Me, remixed by LT Hutton, and the Johnny J remix on Until the End of Time. Now, the reason why I don't like these tracks is because yet again the LT Hutton version is slowed down, so it's distorted. Overall, they have unknown singers on his version. The Johnny J version actually features Casey and JoJo, which is a great collaboration type song because they did Toss It Up, they did How Do You Want It Together, but I think they were just trying to milk it and make it into like a How Do You Want It Part 2 instead of letting it be its own track. And that's where the problem comes in within. Overall, I think the estate took Johnny J's original version of his remix and they butchered it because they would go back in and they would change stuff after a producer already submitted the track for the albums. They would go back in, change stuff around, remove stuff. So I think the estate kind of cut off Johnny J at his knees with the overall track. But they also featured the LT Hutton version on the album. And the original has a classic sample that's Michael Jackson's Liberian Girl sample. And for whatever reason, they used this sample for a remix of Letter to My Unborn, which that original is amazing. They didn't even need a remix. They took the sample from Thuggin' Me and they moved it on Letter to My Unborn. So for them to remix Thuggin' Me was not a sample clearance problem because they already cleared the sample. I think overall they took that sample off that song because it was a sex orgy in the song. They couldn't use it for a single, so they figured they would use that big time sample that probably cost a lot of money from Sony and everybody else or whoever owned the Michael Jackson catalog at that time to use it on a single worthy song or a radio worthy song such as Letter to My Unborn, which didn't have many curse words and it was a positive uplifting song. But they kind of butchered 2 songs. I love the Letter to My Unborn remix, but the original is a classic too. So overall, I think Thuggin' Me is the 3rd worst Tupac song because the original would have been an all-time classic on Machiavelli or All Eyes on Me if it was recorded in that era. And overall, Tupac had a blueprint with Thuggin' Me, Troublesome 96, Made Niggas, When Thugs Cry, Never Had a Friend Like Me, Words to My Firstborn album concept, hit him up on there as well. And he had this album concept done before he started working on the One Nation of Machiavelli album. They could easily put out this concept. It would have been on par with Machiavelli. So they really shot themselves in the foot here, destroying a classic Tupac song. And a lot of people say, oh, these songs are fillers and fillers. They're fillers because they were remixed like shit. That's why they're fillers.
Only got fucked by a drug dealer. Never felt the real passion of a thug nigga. Though I like the way you scream when you're loving me, I'm going deep, it's the thug in me. So what you saying, girl?
Hey, I like that beat that MC Light got. Johnny J, flip that shit. Let's do that shit over. Let's do that shit like, Death Row style. You feel me?
Put me in that motherfucker. Only got fucked by a drug dealer. Never felt the real passion of a thug nigga. Though I like the way you scream when you're loving me, I'm going deep, it's the thug in me. So what you say?
Number 2 is, the most well-known song on All Eyes on Me that people hate the most, and that's What's Your Phone Number. Now, I kind of like it because it's a Prince sample, but overall, I don't feel like the context of the beat really fits the album All Eyes on Me. He had many other tracks such as Late Night, Letter to My Unborn, Secrets of War, Fade Me that would have sounded way better on All Eyes on Me than this actual track. So I'm not sure why he did not use another track like that, or a track like Better Days, which was also recorded for All Eyes on Me, which would have sounded way better on this album.
Open your mind, better me, you find this time. Let the outlaws play. What's your phone number? Baby, let me give you a call. How long will it take to break you all up?
Number 1. Now, this is a big surprise for you guys, and that is the Thug Style original version. I don't know what Tupac was thinking with this track. I think he was just rapping over random beats, and that's why we got this track. Overall, the lyrics are great, and I think the remix on Are You Still Down is probably one of the best tracks on there. And essentially what they took was the bass line of the original, and they reproduced some of the elements, and that's why it sounds a little bit like the original, but it's mostly a lot different. But the original to me just sounds like a trolley going through San Francisco.
Fuck you too, nigga. Thug style out this motherfucker. Niggas throw your hands in the air. If you got G, make your speakers pop.
Like, I just cannot picture this track being on Thug Life or Me Against the World. It just sounds so out of place. And it has to be one of my most hated tracks for me, and I love every Tupac song. I just can't bear the original. Alright guys, that's it for my vlog. I know my opinion probably differs from you guys, but overall, there's a lot of big mistakes with a lot of remixes that they released after his passing. A lot of them on Loyal to the Game. I could have won over the whole album there. There's a lot of garbage on that album, but eventually I'll get to that. Thanks for watching. Peace out.
All you niggas out there, beware these lying ass scandalous bitches. They will leave your ass on E. Believe me.